organization. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Would you like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd like to start with our organization has reviewed what was submitted under this review. And basically, what I want to start with was CCSO, California Correctional Supervisors Organization, opposes the creation of a civilian commission, basically because it approves and directs the correctional administration. With that, our organization believes that the civilian commission does not adequately have the, or would not have the adequately have the information, or would they have any type of experience to be able to direct these type of operations. Corrections in itself is a unique system in it, Corrections and Youth Authority. And it also encompasses an environment with rules, language, specifically to corrections, inmate languages, all the different rule numbers, all the different things that go on that we don't think could be adequately addressed by a civilian commission. We just don't think that they would, if you had maybe some folks on there that maybe a combination. I always think about some of the oral panels and stuff sometimes that we used to take. Sometimes you'd have people on there from corrections, but you'd also have civilian people on there that would add to that, because they brought a different perspective to that. But if maybe you had both on this commission, where they could bring forward, but yet if they had some type of question that they could ask, then they would have somebody there to ask those questions about, and get some answers. But just to have a straight civilian commission, we feel as an organization of supervisors that this would be proper. Okay? Mm-hmm. With it. We at this point support the merging of Youth Authority and Corrections to a point. We know that Youth Authority has its own agenda and has its own mission, completely from what Corrections. I spent 33 years working in the Department of Corrections, so and what I've seen in Youth Authority and Corrections, it's not even close to being what it is. The way I look at it, and I was back in corrections back in the 70s. I started actually in 1968 when I started with the Department of Corrections. And by looking at Youth Authority, and I've gone to all the institutions, their facilities, with it, schools is what they classify them as, and I see in many cases that they're operating about like what we did in the Department of Corrections about 1970. The way they have it, they don't have a classification system to look at when a ward comes in. What are you going to do with him? Well, what's the best course for him? Corrections has had this for years, and yet Youth Authority doesn't seem to have it. They have no discipline system per se, like in corrections, where an inmate does something that's out of whack. Yes, he has to pay for it in some type of discipline with it, and it's based upon there's set of rules and regulations that says what type of thing he's done, what type of whatever disciplinary thing that he's done is corrected by this disciplinary action. Well, in Youth Authority, there doesn't seem to be any of that with it. So there's. I think that it appears to us as an organization that CDC is getting all the money, basically, and the Youth Authority is a second, kind of a stepchild to the thing. So, basic reason I'm saying that I think that we would prefer the merge is simply because of the fact that maybe Youth Authority could get some of that money, and bring into some things that Corrections already sees. It just seems like Corrections is getting all the money in Youth Authority or not.
I mean, to some extent, I think there's lots of problems in looking at how it's structured and balanced, but to some extent, if we take a look at it, we've got CYA with a declining population, less than 4,000, and we've got CDC with 166,000. To some extent, when we take a look at how we allocate the money, it's not simply, I mean, I would not argue you evenly divide. I wouldn't argue that.
No, I wouldn't either.
Very
but,
different ratio.
Yeah, and I think that's what maybe that you folks that are giving them the money needs to look at a little bit, you know, what the need is. Like I say, if you're going to, and I'm convinced in working in corrections under the old indeterminate sentence law. You see, and I can remember being a counselor where when people went to the board, that board directed them, said, okay, you know what, we're going to down you a year. You're not going to, you know, we're going to see you next year. At the end of next year, you know what I'd like from you? I want you to go to AA. I want you to go to NA. You know, I want you to get a high school education, or I want you to go to college. I want you to go get a vocational trade. I want those type of things that were directed to them. And when they came back the next year in front of that board, they would determine whether or not, whether or not they were going to set them a parole date, which was a big incentive for those people that went before that board. But when we lost that over the years, I think that because of the indeterminate sentence law, and we've just got a different perspective. Everything seems to be in the last few years that we are basically doing what? We're making, at least in corrections part of it, we're setting, the whole thing is set as a punishment, and there's no doubt there should be punishment in the department, you know, with it. That's the reason that just like any way you look at it, you send youth authority in there. These guys are still being, you know, sent there as a punishment.
Well, I agree with you. We have to take a look again at the mission. That's why I've stated it very boldly. But let's bring this back again to really looking at the reorganization, because the sentencing, of course, it has implications throughout. But let's bring it back to reorganization, which I really want to focus on for today.
Okay. Well, like I say, basically, you know, we feel that a civilian commission, in our opinion, is just it's another bureaucracy with it, to be appointed by a political issue there, whether or not this commission would probably be appointed by the governor into that position, and another political bureaucratic type operation, and we don't feel that it's in best interest for the department or youth authority.
All right, thank you very much for your testimony. Andy Hishia Coron?
It's actually took me a while to figure out how to pronounce it too. It's Andy Shah Coron. It's my wife's and mine combined.